What's up, guys? It's your boy Zowoki back at it with another crime video, and I'm definitely a little worried about this one just because Sebastian Rogers is pretty much almost the same age as my son, and which definitely scares me because my kids are my world. My son is almost the same age as Sebastian Rogers. Um, and Summer Wells is just this innocent little girl that was taken as well. And it just, again, like I keep saying and reiterating over and over and over, it's a parent's worst nightmare to lose their child. And I fight tooth and nail to make sure that my son is always in my sight. My daughters are always in my sight. I do not let them go. I mean, I sometimes I think I'm an overprotective father, but I'm doing it for the better of them. But again, I've always seen a striking similarity between Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells, and lo and behold, the woman of crime, Michelle After Dark, has brought this for us to take a look at. The striking similarities between Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells. So with that being said, grab a chair, get comfortable. I'm definitely, again, worried about them talking about, because it brings up things that I don't want to think about in my head when it comes to children being taken, being missing, and it just overall frightens me every single day with my children. So with that being said, again, I tell you this every single time. This lady, Michelle After Dark, is on her way to 100,000 subscribers. If you guys have never seen her channel, I suggest you go over there. This woman definitely knows her stuff. So go over there, give her some love. She talks a vast majority of crime content, including the Watts case. So give her some love, watch her old stuff, watch her new stuff, subscribe, comment, like, and share. And with that being said, let's get into this video.
Of April. In this video, we're going to talk about two missing children in Tennessee. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, who has been missing for almost 2 months.
This is February 26th, I do believe.
Summer Moon Utah Wells, who has been missing for over 34 months. Almost 3 years. Apart from living in the same state, Summer in the northeast corner of Tennessee, and then Sebastian in the middle portion of Tennessee, about 10-15 miles north of Nashville. The two cases are both similar, yet very different. And I'm not here to talk about the similarities and differences of the two cases. You can look at those and judge those for yourself.
That's true.
But there's one thing that both of these cases have in common, and that is just the amount of speculation, some of it really wild.
Could they be involved?
Developed
together?
Summer, obviously, has been going on way longer, and some of the theories that have come out from Summer's case, well,
I've tried to stay away from the theories because I'd rather deal with the facts than the actual weird theories that are out there about any case when it comes to that. And a lot of you guys have been sending me Sebastian's and Summer and stuff like that, and I've been wanting to put it off because it scares me to think about the children, and then comparing them to my children, and hopefully that never happens and so forth. So, but we're diving into this, and Michelle is the one to give us that info. So,
probably forgotten more than I remember, to be honest. But anyhow, there's some very strange things going on. Very strange things being.
And if you want me to dive into Sebastian's case information and also Summer Wells, I could definitely start doing my research more in depth on those and do my one-off videos of them as well. I'm just worried about doing them. So when it comes to First 48 and all the other ones, when it comes to adults, I don't get squeamish, I don't get scared or worried or whatever, but when it comes to children, that's when it starts to worry me. So
said. So, without further ado, let's go.
Let's go. Michelle After Dark.
Let's talk with Sebastian's case. Now, on Saturday, there was a vigil for Sebastian. Chris and Katie Proudfoot didn't attend, although Chris did turn up and spoke to Seth. Depending on who you talk to, you know, they were either confronting each other or they were amicably talking. pick a side. But Seth said this to camera.
Me and Chris are putting our differences aside. It's not about our egos. It's about finding Sebastian. Me, Chris, and Katie will begin working together. And if everybody else could just off and put your egos aside, help us find our son. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is the goal of this shit.
So he said all of the parents now are going to start working together. So, of course, Seth is the biological father, Katie's the biological mother, and Chris, Katie's husband, is stepdad. All right, we all know this, don't we? Been following this case as long as I have. You know all the ins and outs.
I haven't looked into it as much.
We're going to start working together.
We should.
Let's set the internet alight a little bit. I didn't talk about it yesterday, but what does it actually mean? Going to start working together and everyone else can just F off. So I think people trying to interfere, possibly, that's what he meant.
To sugarcoat it, a lot of people need to F off, if you know what I mean.
Just F off. But then, something really strange, very surprising, given what Seth had said on Saturday evening, was that literally a few hours later, on Sunday morning, Seth turns up on Peter Hyatt's channel. Peter Hyatt is the purported language analysis expert. I don't follow Peter's channel. I've watched a couple of his videos on Sebastian. I've seen a bunch of clips. And it seems to be that one of his dominant theories is that Katie locked Sebastian out and then he disappeared. He ran away. Can't discount it. I don't think it's likely, but I've talked about that quite a bit in my Facebook group. Seth sat for 24 minutes listening to Peter, while Peter gave a monologue of his usual theory. They're locked out, or other ideas around that. Peter said this.
And is there anyone present that would like to live under stepfather's rule, from what we've heard?
No.
From what we've heard out of his own mouth? Is there anyone that would say, hey, sounds like a good parent to me? Would anyone let him babysit your cat? Some comments from you, Seth.
I was pretty much here just to listen to you.
Okay.
You have a lot more experience and stuff, and I appreciate you having me on the panel, and I appreciate your insight. And
Does any of it sound crazy to you?
No. I was married to her for a long time, and you're right on a lot of key factors. You're right on. You know, I believe that she did not open up at the beginning.
Sounds like the Maddie Soto case.
While I was there. She's not telling everything. I just don't know how long she's going to continue before she decides that she's going to unburden herself.
That sounds a lot like them working together, doesn't it? Well, you could say that Seth is, infiltrating behind enemy lines. He's going to watch and wait, and he's going to pick up on all of those subtle cues.
But isn't she going to
secret
see that?
conversations. You could say that, but if your plan was to infiltrate enemy lines by stealth, then you wouldn't go on a YouTube channel and say what he just said, would you?
That doesn't make sense.
Very odd. Overnight, did Seth change his mind? In the spirit of getting along, you would think Seth would be a little bit more discreet. Don't come at me in the comments, guys. I don't think Seth had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. But then again, I don't think Chris and Katie did either. But if you've been following my channel, you'll know what my top theories are.
Probably should look into them because I don't know as much.
In fact, go and check out my past videos if you're new to my channel.
Know
None of us knows what happened to Sebastian, but personally, I do not believe that any of the parents are involved. There's red flags, there's bad blood, horrible things that have gone on in the past.
But what bugs me the most is, like, you see parents that, like, are bound determined to find their child or whatever have you. But then you kind of have some of the, like, these ones where they're like, we're gonna look eventually, but like the Gabby Petito, like those parents were like on it. Like they didn't fight the two sides. They were looking into Gabby Petito. They went after Brian Laundrie, like, and his parents were like, where's my daughter? Where is she? Like, and eventually they found out the unfortunate events, and then they're like trying to go, like they were like determined. But then you see some of these other cases, and they're like crickets. It's like if your kid is gone, you better be doing everything and anything you can to find those little kids. You are their parent, their protector, their love and joy. You better find them. I don't know if I could ever sleep with my kids being gone. I mean, my daughter went to 6th grade camp last year. I was freaking the flip out because she was gone for 2.5 days. My son goes to his mother's every other week. It's week on, week off, week on, week off. And it drives me nuts because I can't be there to protect him all the time. So,
but none of it, in my opinion, equates to them actually doing something directly that resulted in the disappearance of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. None of us knows what happened to Sebastian, but in situations like this, where we have absolutely no idea what happened, we take the few facts we know and we build a theory around it. But as I've consistently said throughout the Summer Wells case of almost 3 years, you can't just take the information that agrees with your chosen theory. You've also got to try to dispute your theory. You've got to work as hard to try to dispute it as you work to support it. And that's what the majority of people don't do. They feed into their own confirmation bias. It's happened all along in Summer's case. It's happening again in Sebastian's case.
The wrong news.
There are some pretty wild theories
broadcast.
Out there. You know, last week I had the, Katie and Chris were in the military, therefore they've got cloaks of invisibility theory in my comments. I made a video about that on my other channel, Michelle Walks, if you want to go and check that out. It's experimental technology, all right, guys? Yeah, they're at the cutting edge. You know, they just happen to have in their closet 2 nicely fitting cloaks of invisibility. I don't think so.
There's no way.
Embracing the wild, but yet refusing to consider the more simple.
See, like that stuff is ridiculous.
Anybody. But that brings me nicely on to Summer Wells. Before I went out for a walk, I was listening to Prayer Garden of America. Now, it's been a long time since Prayer Garden has been a suggested video, so she's obviously doing something right. But I was going to listen to a little bit more before I made this video, but it seems to have disappeared. The last one she did was 4 days ago. I don't know where it's gone. However, she had a phone call with a man who allegedly used to know Don Wells, Summer's dad, when they lived in Arkansas, when he was married to Pam. And this man, we've got absolutely no way to know whether he actually knew Don or he's just some random lunatic. But anyway, this man said that 3 children went missing in Arkansas where Don was living. And then Don himself went missing. 3 children went missing. I don't know what time span. And then Don went missing.
Little girl had her whole life ahead of her.
Living at large up until recently on YouTube. So, anyhow. But he said that Don was sacrificing children. Yeah, sacrificing.
What the actual
form of
crap?
Cult worship and sacrifice. And that could have happened to Summer. Now, it's not the first time that Summer being sacrificed has come up. And for some, the idea of, some kind of satanic cult worship, sacrifice, siphoning all the blood out of a child would be just as wild as Katie and Chris Proudfoot having cloaks of invisibility and disappearing Sebastian that way. I don't think it's quite the same because ritualistic sacrifices do happen. Not very often, but it's not unheard of. Do I think Summer was sacrificed? My opinion, no. Do I think Don Wells is some kind of cult worshipper? Well, unless
red flag?
You want to call the Seventh-day Adventist Church a cult, and a lot of people do, then I don't think so. Because even though it's nearly 3 years since Summer disappeared, we all watched on in the early
We
days.
definitely need
And
to get
yes, there
more
were
into
red flags about,
Wells
you know, I'll
case.
see her in the resurrection and that kind of thing. But there's nothing in the verbiage that he used to me at that time that would denote that he was into human sacrifice. Is it a secret cult? Well, how do you recruit new members if it's completely secret? Look, I'm not poo-pooing the idea. Anything's possible. Do I think this man that was on Prayer Garden's channel knows that Don was sacrificing children? No, I have to say, no. Do I think Don was sacrificing children? I don't think so. Now, when something occurs, unusual event, an unusual, sudden, traumatic event, like a child going missing,
like, if it comes down to that, don't you have anything better to do? Like, why? Why? There, it's with myself getting older. It's scary to continuously think about that the world is just getting darker and darker and nastier, and it's just maybe it was that way when I was younger, and I'm just getting old enough to see it. But it's getting crazy to think about. That's why I like staying home most of the time. It's because being out in public, it's scary about some of these people and how they think and how they do. And then you hear about this possibility of some of these people doing satanic worshiping and sacrifices. Like, are you flipping kidding me? Can't you go and have like to the YMCA, do some workouts or go bowling? Or why do we have to do sacrifices? And like, oh my gosh, it's so like ridiculous.
Everybody wants to seek the causes of those events because it's an evolution.
We want to
mechanism.
find them.
It's survival. If you can work out how horrific events in your environment or that you know about happen, then you can work to avoid it in your own life. It's survival. It's called attribution theory. It's been known in psychology since the 1940s. We all do it. We all want to know what happened. It's natural for us to want to know what happened.
Exactly.
The more sudden, the more traumatic, the more we search for answers. And that's
why we look into the
doing,
Watts case.
isn't it? And usually, if you take Occam's razor, if you've got two competing theories, usually it's the one with the least amount of steps, the simpler one, probabilistically, most likely to have happened. But then, just occasionally, you get a case where nothing's simple. Let's take the Delphi case, the 2017 murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German from Delphi in Indiana. And nothing in that case is simple. The case went completely unsolved for nearly 6 years. And then, in October of 2022, CVS...
Did you hear that? It took 6 years. 6 years to have some conclusion. But yet, the people that, like myself and others, are trying to do on certain channels, and people say it's cold, it's done. Things can happen years later.
Worker Rick Allen was arrested. No criminal records, just a normal guy. Had continued to live in the town of Delphi, which has only got 3,000 inhabitants, working at CVS, and not one person in those nearly 6 years had called him in to the police, even though there's a video of the man who is likely to have been the killer, or at least one of the killers.
See the
that in itself make sense.
Oh, resemblance is uncanny.
A little bit of evidence that Richard Allen was actually there at the scene, if you believe the science into the unspent rounds from a Sig Sauer P226 that was found at the crime scene. But since September of last year, we've heard about another theory, the defence's idea of what happened. And this is Odinism. In its most extreme form, it's just good old racism, good old white supremacy. Well, they've taken the noble ancient religion of Old Norse and they've bastardized it in a way to suit their racist ends. They worship Odin, and they carve runes, like the old runic language that they want to learn. And at this crime scene, there were some sticks on Abby and Libby's bodies that were fashioned into probable runes.
Why?
And what looks like an F, which could be the rune Fairhue, left in Libby's blood on a tree near where the bodies were found. And the defence's theory is that a group of Odinists were the real killers. Which sounds wilder to you?
I've never heard of Odinists.
The Odinism or Richard Allen? It's divided, but less than a month we will have a trial. Hopefully, at least, we'll have a trial and we'll see the evidence from both sides laid out there. All right, so how does this relate to what happened to Sebastian and what happened to Summer? Perhaps the most simplest explanations for both of them is that they wandered off. Sebastian was 15,
I don't think
but
they
he
wandered
had
off.
more like, according to his dad, a mental age of about 10. He's autistic, but he has 6q27 chromosomal deletion syndrome, which can create some intellectual disabilities. Although Sebastian is very clever in other ways, he's just not very socially skilled. Summer was only 5 when she disappeared, and kids do the darndest things. On both sides, Sebastian's side and Summer's side, all the parents have said their child would never wander away. But in both cases, we've had neighbours who've said, we have seen that child wandering about. We have seen that child out and about. So who do you believe? Do you believe the parents?
That's what scares me is you see these kids like back in the day. I mean, I can't say back in the day because there are generations behind me that back in the day that they would play. But there were times that my parents tell them like they just wanted to know where I was. But I would go out the town and bike ride all day, doing the jumps and going to the pool, and we would playing not laser tag, but playing tag. I mean, we would do everything and anything out and about. When it started getting dark, we came home. You can't do that now. It's so sad to think about, but some of these kids want to just go and have fun, but yet you're sit there so worried that these kids could just be snatched and grabbed. Like, I'm so scared of my kid playing basketball outside and getting kidnapped. I can't even. We live in somewhat of a nice, calm town, but there's always that chance, and that's why I'm not willing to bet on this.
Or you believe the parents if you choose to believe them, if it fits your theory, or do you believe the neighbours? I don't know. Well, there's one thing that strikes me about both of these cases. Why is it that it's easier to believe the wilder theories, for at least some of you, than it is to believe the most simple? Ask yourself that question, and I'll leave you with that.
It definitely is.
Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
I definitely like how she correlates things and how she makes you wonder and think about it after you're done with the video. Again, if you guys want me to start diving in separately off to the Summer Wells case, I know it's 3 years old, but I mean, we've looked at the Watts case. We've looked at some other cases. When it comes to that father, what was it, Chad Dorman? That pisses me off too. If you guys want me to continue veering off separately on Sebastian Rogers and Summer Wells, please let me know down in the comments. Also, hit the like button for obviously hopeful justice for these two and finding them, finding their capture, their killer, whatever have you. And that's all we want is justice. So, again, I thank you guys for watching my video. Again, go over to give some love to Michelle. Link is in the description. Looks like she's got other channels with her puppy and her other puppy. And I think she said Michelle Walks. So go over there, give her some love on those channels. Looks like this one is Springers with Cassie, and then Miss Tillington, and then, of course, Michelle After Dark. Again, thank you guys for watching. Please take care, be safe, and as always, keep nerding on. and we'll see you guys next time.